right. Next, we're talking about Trump tariffs.
Wow.
All that jazz.
Wow.
Let's get
All right.
excited.
Get real.
Love
Okay,
tariffs.
guys. So, Donald Trump has decided that he's going to put tariffs on steel and aluminium imports into the United States. Yes, Chris.
What's tariff?
Tariff is basically a tax you apply on what people bring into your country. You say, okay, you're bringing this much worth of steel, I'm going to tax you this percentage. And you give me that money.
Because it's not made in America.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's what you would call a protectionist policy. It's so basically that it's something you do so that you can give an advantage to your own people who do the same thing, so that they're not competing on a level playing field with other countries' products.
To make up to the difference of getting it cheaper from a different country.
Yeah, it's basically adds a cost to getting something from overseas, so that it becomes less competitive with your own countries.
So on face value, it's like he's trying to improve the construction kind of industry, kind of support the construction industry in the US as he
it's to support the steel producing industry.
Yep.
So it doesn't help the construction industry. It's actually bad for them.
Manufacturers kind of thing, yeah.
So so it's good for the companies that produce steel.
Yep.
It's bad for everyone else. Anyone who uses steel or uses aluminium has to pay
more
to get that steel and aluminium.
So that's stuff like you can of soft drink, right?
Yeah.
your shed in the backyard.
Can of soft drink, cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the biggest user is building.
Do they mine that metal in America?
No, so it's not about iron, it's about steel.
Right.
And aluminium, I don't know how much they actually mine, but it's about producing it. So you mine the raw material, but you got to do stuff to it to make it into steel and usable aluminium.
So they're not tariffing the raw material?
No.
Okay.
No. Because that would hurt the producers as well.
Yeah.
The steel producers. So basically, this is potentially bad for the world economy, because what happens is if you say, all right, I'm going to charge people extra to import this, the countries that it comes from, that's bad for them. Because they're like, oh, we can't send stuff to you and get money for it, right? That's how trade works.
Will someone else buy it?
Profits are going to go down.
Yeah, potentially, but that means, like, if everyone's still producing the same amount of steel and America's buying less of it because they're using more of their own, because their producers have suddenly got more incentive to make more, then there's an excess of supply, which means the price goes down for everyone else.
Okay, yeah.
So you're not as competitive with one of your customers anymore. So they're less likely to buy as much stuff off you. So basically what's happening is a lot of other countries are arcing up because they're like, this is against like free trade, which is the kind of global idea that the less barriers there are to trading with each other, the better the economy is for everyone, like the world economy.
Right.
So it benefits everyone to have free trade. That's the idea. This is a weird sort of thing because it's something the Republicans of like his own party, Donald Trump's party, is actually very pro free trade because they're very friendly to big business and big business loves free trade.
Yeah.
Because if you're a big business and you cross like country lines or you're basically all about getting your costs down, like massive car manufacturers like Ford and General Motors, they're like, we want to get stuff as cheap as possible. We want to be able to, if I can make this cheaper in China and then bring it in, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'll cut down my costs.
Right.
Make more profit.
Make more profit. So this is a big advantage for bigger companies, which the Republican Party loves. And to be fair, the Democrat Party loves big companies as well. Because they all get their money for their elections from big companies.
They love them less?
No, they're pretty much the same. Obama was very business friendly as well. So in the center, you have moderate Republicans and moderate Democrats who are basically all on the same page in terms of economics.
They sound nice.
The middle ground.
Maybe. I mean, so you've got your Bernie Sanders as well, right? Who are very against free trade. Because basically their argument is, all right, our workers get paid quite a bit in our country, right? So if you're an American or even if you're an Australian or a European, you're like, well, we got to pay our people a decent wage. Because we live in countries that have minimum wages, that have fair conditions, health and safety practices in the workplace. It's not good if a company can just go, oh, I'm just going to get this made in Bangladesh with way less standards, costs way less for people because they basically have very poor conditions and they're not paid a living wage.
Bad.
So it basically means that people in the richer countries lose their jobs, and those jobs move to the poorer countries where people aren't getting paid much. So it's bad for your own workers.
Mm-hmm.
So your sort of traditional left-wing pro-working class politician is against free trade because they want to protect their own workers. They want to protect their jobs.
But on face value, right, this is appealing to his base. This is saying, I'm here to protect the workers, the people in the Rust Belt who manufacture this.
So this is actually not new. Obama put a tariff in on tires in 2009 from China because apparently China was producing heaps of tires.
Ties?
Tires.
Tires.
Like wheels.
Yeah, like car tires. Bush also did it in 2002. And it annoyed everyone. And there was a study that came out that it resulted in a net job loss of 146,000 jobs in America.
In the US.
There's got to be an ulterior motive if they've done it before and it hasn't worked before, right?
Well, someone brought that up with Trump and he was like, well, everything Bush did sucked, so
I'm
I'm doing it, so it's going to work.
He's
I'm
the
not sure
best
how-
arguer, eh?
I'm not sure how much he looks at
great.
evidence.
Yeah, he didn't really think it through. Apparently, he just wanted to have a fight on something.
Right. That sounds about right.
It could, he hasn't actually started doing it yet, so it could be his negotiating tactic where he, gives himself leverage by saying, I'm going to do this crazy thing. And then everyone goes, no, don't do that crazy thing. We'll give you this or whatever.
So is this an executive order, or is this...
So I was confused about that. Apparently, he can do it. The president does have the power to put tariffs in. But then the Republican, his own party, is considering putting through legislation that would cut his ability to do that.
So essentially they don't want him to do this?
No, they definitely don't want him to do this.
Yeah. Okay.
So the head of the Speaker of the House
Yeah.
has basically come out saying, he's very against it and they're trying to get him to reconsider and all this other stuff. It does seem like most analysis says that they'll they'll net lose jobs because they have more people who use steel than more people who make steel in America. So they've suddenly become much less competitive. So companies that use steel might just go, we'll move our stuff overseas, make it, and then just import it from overseas where the cost is lower because the steel is cheaper.
What countries are we getting the steel from that's going to get the tariffs?
So the most is from Canada,
Oh,
which is funny because they're a close ally of the United States. They're 16%.
wow.
Then it's Brazil on 13%, South Korea 10%, Mexico 9%, China 2%. China actually makes hardly any steel for America because there's already big trade barriers between China and America.
Not Australia.
No, Australia is not a big producer of steel. We're a big
Okay.
producer of iron. The iron ore that they use to make steel. We don't actually have a lot of steel producers here,
Okay.
So,
which is
but
bad
do
because
we
we
do
just
a
don't
lot of
get
stuff in
any money for it.
aluminium at all? 'Cause I heard
We
that
do a bit. I don't
Turnbull was
know.
kind of blindsided by this.
Yeah,
These
I think the
promises were
the bigger impact is actually on. I think it was Rio Tinto.
Yeah.
There is a company called Blue Scope Steel
Yeah.
that exports steel to America, but they also have a steel plant in America. So any losses on one side are offset
straight up.
on the other side. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting because of the way Trump sometimes suggests stuff that's very not what his party wants. And
It's very confusing.
yeah, so earlier the Dow Jones has been, the shares have been up in America. They had a recent fall, but they're still up massively since Trump got elected because he was going to cut taxes because of all that stuff, which is very positive for business. And then on this news, it's kind of gone down and it's making everyone go, oh man, he can just do any crazy thing.
But he hasn't
Without
actually
thinking it through.
done anything. He's just presenting ideas.
He's saying he's going to do it.
But
Right.
For me, it seems like it's appealing to his base, saying the idea that we're going to have more jobs. Even though it doesn't suggest that, that's
No,
the
yeah,
line
the
you're
way
trying
he's
to
selling
feed,
it.
right? Yeah.
On a
of the things-
surface level, it looks like that.
One of the
Yeah.
things he said on, I think it was on the campaign trail, or it's been now, that he said was, if you don't make steel or something like that, you don't have a country. If you can't make steel, then you don't really have a country, which doesn't really make sense.
It appeals to a base, though.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
about make
Gets you
America
a cheer kind of thing.
make America great again.
Steel.
Apparently, Europe is threatening to put tariffs on imports of jeans, bourbon, and motorcycles.
Is that what they...
Can you?
They're
yep.
quintessentially American products.
So this was the the commissioner of the EU, right?
Yeah, the Commission of the EU has a quote. So this is Jean-Claude Juncker.
I believe it's Juncker.
Yeah, it could be. He said this is basically a stupid process. The fact that we have to do this, but we have to do it, we can also do stupid. So
So
strong implication that
And
he
he's like,
thinks
we can
Trump
put
is
tariffs
stupid.
on Harley Davidsons,
It's just-
Levi's jeans,
Yeah.
all these
make the
American,
whole world
quintessential
go
American things.
stupid.
Well, Trump was all like, in a tweet, he was like, trade wars are easy to win. Trade wars are like great for us. Just apparently they're softening on the idea of maybe giving an exemption to allies. Because the funny thing about this is it hurts all of their allies. Like South Korea is a massive ally.
Yeah.
Canada's a massive ally. Europe,
Mexico,
like all the bastions against all the stuff that they don't want to happen, basically the West. And it really benefits China because they hardly export anything to America. They hardly export any steel.
Trump hates China.
Yeah.
What's he thinking?
He also like backed out of the TPP, the Trans-Pacific
Yeah.
Partnership. That was like basically their idea for containing China was to create a big block of free trade with everyone else in Asia so that America would be really influential in Asia. But then they pulled out of that.
So it's going well.
It's just going weirdly.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing that the Republican Party wanted. Speaking of which,
It's making
so
no
you,
sense.
the gun control stuff, right? After the shooting in Florida, they Trump had a meeting in the White House with a bunch of different lawmakers from the Democrats and the Republicans,
Right.
and he gave them he was basically giving the Republican lawmakers crap for doing whatever the NRA tells them. He was saying that they're scared of the NRA and they shouldn't be. And then one of them was suggesting, so after we've gone through due process we should be able to like take guns away. This was the vice president. His own vice president was saying, after if someone's found to be like a dangerous person, after due process they should take the guns away. And then Trump goes, no, stuff due process. Let's take the guns first, and then do due process second. Which is a very if Obama had said that, someone would have assassinated him. Like that, all the idea of he's coming after your guns and everything like that. Obama never said anything that was that crazy as what Trump said. That was actually bad. That was actually crazy enough that a lot of his own supporters, a lot of the really crusted on Trump supporters, came out attacking him, going, "What's he saying? How is he saying this?" Because they're so That's the one thing Trump can't carry his own supporters through gun control.
If
That
I have a
would break
question.
them. Yeah.
If he brought in reasonable gun control measures, well, things that seem reasonable to us, would he gain more support from his haters than he would lose from his supporters?
I don't think he'd gain enough support from... actually, that's really hard because Democrats have never been able to put through gun control either. The crazy thing is that the Democrats had all the power to do it in 2010. They controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and they had a supermajority in the Senate, so they could have passed it. And they didn't. And they've always been attacked because they didn't do that then. So Nancy Pelosi, the head of the Democrats in the House, I think, didn't put forward a bill
Thanks
to
a lot,
do that.
Nance.
But she signed one this time after this shooting.
Classic.
Doesn't seem like there's much coherence to his methods at the moment.
I think Ali wants to say
I think
something.
Nick agrees with you. He
Yeah.
said part of Trump's method of negotiation is to put something outrageous first and then walk it back, which I believe you pretty much said before.
Yeah.
But I also just found the comment of the week, even though the episode's not over. Wait for it.
I'm going to get on and beat it.
The guy on the end looks like a more professional and handsome Chris Pearson.
was that Sarah Tunnicliffe?
Is that I? I think that's just a bit
It was Nick
racist.
from my work.
I think
Thanks,
all
Nick.
all white people look the same, eh?
Yeah.
No, he said more handsome.
Oh, thank you. And you're a good guy.
Right.
Okay.
Was that it on that?
Yeah. I mean, did you guys find it interesting that we're already not talking about that Florida shooting? We're getting enough data to work out the actual attention span of America now.
that stuff.
I'm so jaded. I
Because-
was almost over it. When I heard about
I think it was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Everyone stopped caring.
I think it's because of the student movement. I think that's why. I don't know. It's
Why it
my
lasted
mind.
as long as 3 weeks? Probably.
Well,
I reckon
think
it would have
could
been even
still
shorter.
continue
Otherwise.
because of the kids.
Someone did point out that so the Florida State Assembly actually did pass some gun control. So they did increase the age that you have to buy it to 21 from 18. Which is crazy because the drinking age in America is 21.
outrageous.
They were buying assault rifles at 18.
Understand.
Far out.
So they actually did do some stuff in Florida, which is very pro-gun. Someone did point out that they also had the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida, and they didn't do anything after that, and 49 people were killed in that. But because they were gay, it probably didn't matter as much to the
Everybody knows.
state legislation.
Yeah.
I'm pretty of the opinion that gun control isn't going to change in America. Ever.
No, I'd probably agree, even though like 70% of people are pro-gun control in America.
Yeah.
I don't think they can do it.
It just doesn't seem to be set up to be possible. It almost seems like a
too many.
It takes too long.
Incentives
It takes too long to do
involved.
something. If you stop caring about it after 3 weeks, there's no way you can ever change anything.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sweet.
Yeah.